It is Saturday. I'm uploading this video very early because I'm actually off to a wedding today. I'm going to be doing both photography, highlight video coverage, as well as we're doing full rolling ceremony coverage, full speeches, and I'm also doing a same day edit to make it even more things going on. I probably won't be able to record a behind the scenes video of it because I feel like that's kind of enough things going on that I don't really want to stress myself out by also creating that and not focusing 100% on the enormous task at hand. I guess first let's define what an incredible photo is. And for wedding photography and the people in the photo to believe that it's an incredible photo, I think that it's something that brings back a memory, an emotion, and also an image that they look good in. And when you can combine all those things together, I think you create great consistent images over a wedding day. For a more general audience that I guess also includes the couple is to make a great photo, I think it's lighting the moment, which is all things included with the moment, not only the expressions, but also what's going on in the background, the time of day, things like that, as well as composition. And I think the composition I kind of rank 3 because as a wedding photographer, as somebody that's just kind of out documenting, I definitely am aware of all of the rules of composition, or at least most of them. I know how to create a balanced image, but sometimes that in some situations that it's just not possible to create something that's perfectly composed. I also believe that in wedding photography and my photography in general is that I don't want to make everything look 100% perfect because then it just starts looking like stock photography. I want to leave kind of that human element. They hired somebody to take the pictures. They didn't just hire Sears Portrait Studio to come in and to put everything in exact places to create those stock images. So I think by having everything just a little bit broken in a good way, actually creates better images with a lot more personality. And overall, I really do want to create, I guess this is like my high above all else framework. I want to create great images that my couples love in an efficient, pleasant, and stress-free way, which means that if it's 35 degrees Celsius outside, which is like 100-ish Fahrenheit, we're not going to spend a lot of time outside. We're going to do what we need to outside and then quickly get back inside. And I protect their experience of the wedding day as much as I possibly can. And that is the framework that I adhere to above all others. So let's get into some photos here. These are 5 photos that I have taken, at least in kind of the recent past here, over the past year. And I'm going to roll a few kind of like B-roll clips of us actually taking the images here. So we are in Iceland. This photograph was actually taken at midnight. So it was like 12:05. We were racing to get to this waterfall. We were like, oh, do we go? Do we not go? Because it was basically a 2-hour round trip from where we were staying. And this was kind of like the tack on last, like, we could do it or we could not. And then we saw kind of the sun starting to poke out a little bit. And we were like, maybe let's go find out. So we head over here, we run up the hill. It's super muddy. Everybody got super gross at this point, but again, last location. So it's okay. And I was very much reassuring Jessica that it's worth the dry clean on the dress because it was going to be an incredible image. And I had to deliver on that. And there was a lot of mist coming up at my camera and I was wiping the lens off. I was shooting with the 28 f2.8D, which is a Nikon lens. It's very, very small, very old, I guess, also very inexpensive. And I stitched this as a panorama, so it was 100 and some odd megapixels whenever I finally put it together, because I didn't have a lens that was wide enough and I couldn't get far enough away, but I knew all the elements that I wanted. And to create a good composition while doing a panorama is quite a challenge because you can kind of see the scene and you can kind of figure it out, but you don't really 100% know what you are going to get. Stitching it together, like, is this composition a bit weird? Yeah, there's like water coming through the middle of the photo. The couple is kind of rule of thirds down here. The sun is kind of rule of thirds over here. There's a bit of a line kind of aspect here leading into away on the in the river, and things kind of happen on this diagonal right here, that this is kind of the focus point, I think. And for me, I think that is a good image. I'm super happy with it. The couple's super happy with it. They're in this like amazing landscape. One other thing that I'll touch on here quickly is that when you are first getting started, that you're not going to have opportunities to do photography in locations like this with like great couples that are willing to run through mud to get a shot like this. My advice to that is to start just doing it yourself. That if you can find a couple of friends to go out and do this and to tag along on their vacation and be like, I'm just going to come for 2 days. We're going to do like 2 shoots, one in the morning, one in the evening. And then like you guys are free to do whatever you want. The way that this trip came together was that they were going to Iceland for a vacation and they were just emailed me being like, hey, they're my clients from back here. They're getting married in this August. And they just kind of were like, hey, like any chance you're doing a stopover in Iceland on the way somewhere else over the next little bit? And their schedule is customizable and my schedule is customizable. And I was totally happy to make that stopover in order to do a shoot in Iceland like this. And I didn't charge them extra. This was actually just like the engagement session that's included in their wedding photography package. And I'm happy to do that for any of my couples, that if our schedules collide somewhere, that I would way rather do a shoot like this than maybe like some park in town here. Like there's obviously a lot more opportunities, and I have no real limits. That like for this shoot, I think it was like 4 or 5 hours because there was so much driving, but this is what I wanted to be doing. Like this is my vacation, that if I can go and I can travel with a purpose and create something amazing and come back with a portfolio image, I would way rather be doing that than just like sitting on a beach somewhere. I'm also not a huge fan of beach vacations. So the way that this came together was exactly like that. And above all else, they look good in it. It's a time that they want to remember. It's something that just looks super cool. They're definitely going to put it on their wall. And because it's 100 megapixels, they can print, I don't even know how big you can print 100 megapixels, but probably pretty big. So this is from an engagement session earlier this week, and I have my new Nikon 58 back, and I was just shooting this right into the sun. And one of my favorite things to do to create this like warm, soft wraparound light is to schedule a shoot as close to sunset as possible. I will usually kind of message my couple that if it looks like it's going to be a sunny day and it's going to be sunny right into blue hour, that I kind of bump the shoot back about a half an hour, that I kind of hedge my bets that I'll book it for, I think we booked this for 7 p.m. And I was like, if it's cloudy, can you come for like 6:30? And if it's sunny, can we do 8? And 8 p.m. this time of year is like kind of the perfect time to go out and do this. So what's going on here? They're kind of composed rule of thirds here. I have, actually I'm holding grass in my hand right here. So I grabbed a little bit of the grass and just kind of like moved it into create a little bit more of a natural frame, because I saw the frame kind of happen in here, some frame happening here. He's kind of framing it this way, and then some empty space to lead into the image. And overall, like they're super happy with this photo because they look great in it. It's that nice, warm, kind of soft light that I think every wedding photographer is after. I really love the depth of field, kind of the way the focus falls off here on this Nikon 58 1.4, and everything just kind of comes together to feel really good. Could I have shot this image with something like a kit lens? Yes, but it would not have looked nearly as good, or even a wide angle lens. I really love that to be able to shoot. I think this was shot at f1.6 because I don't entirely trust it at 1.4, especially shooting into kind of extreme conditions. But I think that like having that separation between your subject and your background is something that I really, really love. And that's why I typically don't shoot a lot with a 24-70, especially in wedding environments. I'll use it for travel, but I like to be able to do things like this to create separation, to create out of focus elements, and that nice warm wraparound light. So 58 or 85 are usually my favorite lenses. And if I'm going out just to do an engagement session, it's one of those two lenses. I usually don't even bring a wide angle lens anymore. I just kind of take a few steps back and stop down a little bit if needed. Moving on. This is another one that like compositionally, it's wrong, but I like this image a lot. The couple loves this image. And everybody's kind of shared it around town because it happened downtown in our city and everybody loves the sport downtown. So, the way that this happened was that I was on my way out from the wedding right here, and they were like, hey, can we go down this little alleyway? There's some kind of string lights hanging over. And it turned out to be my favorite image from the entire day. And I think this is just a testament to doing that late night shoot before you leave with your couple, to say goodbye, I'm leaving, but if you want to come out and do 5 minutes, 10 minutes of photos, like I would love to kind of finish it off like that. And maybe, I think we got maybe 5 or 6 images that were really great from this specific section. And nighttime images do take more time in post-production. Like this took me probably like a minute, 20 seconds, rather than just like the typical click previous, hit 2 sliders, next image in 10 seconds. This took a little bit longer, a little bit more finesse because the dynamic range and all the different elements kind of going together, but it's an image that they like, that I like, that Downtown Kitchener is also a big fan of and has now shared along. So a good marketing image, a good image for the couple, good, nice colors and tones. As you can see, like I try to figure out to kind of show a few different varieties of images, that this is nice and orange and soft, and then this is a little bit more nighttime blue light. I like to have kind of the balance of it. I don't really love to have somewhere just like right in the middle. I don't process with kind of grayed out images. You can download my presets. I'll put a link in the description. But I usually use my People preset because it does do a little bit of a fade. It keeps all the colors as well, which is what I kind of process with all year. And I think that adds a lot more impact to every image. And especially when you're shooting sections like this, that we did have a sunset session that looks similar to this on this day, but to be able to kind of break off like at the very end there, that everything turns from kind of reception, documentary photos of like the parent dances, things like that, to these amazing images to cap off the wedding story with. They're going to be very, very happy with that. And it's going to leave an even better taste in their minds as they like kind of reflect on like, wow, I was like everything was good like the entire way through. And to end out on that like bang, I guess it's similar to like the way that a band puts a concert together, that they usually open with whatever their second best song is, and they leave their best song to either the end or the last encore, to leave everybody like on like a crazy high. So that's kind of what I plan to do here. And that's also why I shoot way too much in getting ready coverage, because specifically for video, that I want that getting ready to coverage to be like the best of the best, because that is the way that they're starting to experience their story. And if you kind of like half-ass it and begin with like kind of half trying, kind of warming up, I don't think that you're doing justice to the day and that you're not creating the best story possible. All right, moving on. I have some B-roll for this as well, and it was just the bride waiting. This is before the ceremony, so she'll remember this moment when she sees this photo, and it's in the story. And at this time, Tim's inside taking pictures of the groom. So it's kind of interesting how the story goes from like this and like her and her dad and her mom in this car, and then flips back to the groom and like all of his groomsmen kind of hanging out. And I really like the way that the story kind of plays like that. I'm always looking for interesting elements like this. This is just through some glass, and the reflection, in my opinion, is probably distracting. But the way that it makes the image feel, I really, really do enjoy. So even if it seems like something isn't working, sometimes just kind of keep at it and just take a lot of frames of the exact perfect, to get the exact perfect one. Because if this little white spot was going through her eye, this image wouldn't really have worked, or if this was down over her eye. But I just kind of kept pivoting around until I found that exact perfect spot with kind of unobstructed vision. And everything else that happens is I'm totally okay with it. And it's something that's interesting for sure. Compositionally, is it there? I don't know, but still a good image, good lines, good colors, good story, and good moments. So I think everything kind of comes together there. Also, this was just taken in a church parking lot. I didn't instruct the limo to go anywhere, which I rarely ever do. It's kind of however the day's happening, I work within those grounds to create the best images possible. And that's what I was doing right here. All right, going into the last image. This is an image, maybe this was the longest one ago. And I was in Paris, and here's kind of what was going on. I walked out here. Lindsay was still sleeping. It was, I think, like 6:15, 6:20 maybe in the morning. And I took a taxi up here because I wanted to get this just a generic landscape photo with no people in it. And I figured if I went super early that there would be nobody there. These guys had the same idea, and they were out there with their tripod taking selfies from the tripod and a timer. And they were kind of working somewhere over here, and I approached them, and I never do this. This is the only time I've ever done this because it was such like an insane opportunity. I walked up and I had my Instagram loaded. I'm like, hey, I'm a photographer. I don't suck. And also like people look at my Instagram, I guess, to add like as much non-sucking and social proof as fast as possible, because it is a weird situation. And also I didn't even know if they spoke English. They're from the Netherlands. They do. So that's good news. And basically the way that it was, I was just like, hey, can I like take 5 photos with you? I'll send you all the high res, and I'll tag you on Instagram. And they were like, yeah, this is weird, but like whatever, like maybe we'll get one good image, and that's awesome. And it turns out I basically what I did with my time. So I only had actually had my kit lens for my D500, which is I think like the 16 to 80 f2.8 to f4. So that's why everything's kind of in focus here, that if I would have had like an 85 or something, like we could have created like the greatest photo that I've ever taken. But because I had my stupid kit lens, I just made them kind of walk up and down this line so that they were kind of composed with the Eiffel Tower here. And then I saw them kind of dancing earlier. I'm like, if you guys want to do that again, I'd love to document and take that picture. And they did this and like the entire shoot, I think, was maybe a minute long. It was literally like walk this way, smile, look at each other, walk back this way. And then they kind of ended up in this spot. And I was like, I don't know, like dance. And they started this, and the way that her back kind of lines up perfectly with the inverse of the Eiffel Tower coming down and everything. It's all kind of perfect. So that's what you can do with a minute. And having an image like this, again, like I was not commissioned to do this. I just went out and I happened to be at the right place at the right time. So if I can give any advice from this, is to travel and to create as many images as possible, and travel with friends and use them in your portfolio and create amazing images from everywhere, because that all comes back to look very good on you, that you photographed all around the world taking these amazing photos. So that is some of my thoughts on how to create incredible images. It is so important to create images that your couples love in an efficient, pleasant, and stress-free way. So do that above all else, and then lighting, moment, composition, and put it all together and create great work. Thank you for watching. I'm off to my wedding now. Wish me luck. It's going to be fun. Same day edits are challenging because you never really know what environment you're going to get yourself into and how to create something from that really fast, especially while also staying in the moment and doing photography and also doing highlight video and also managing to do ceremony coverage and speeches and things like that. So we're just going to do all the jobs today. That's fine. See you tomorrow.